Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations on the fallout from Boruto chapter 77. And today we got to talk about one of the bigger moments, or rather the biggest moment in the chapter that everyone's still talking about, which is Kawaki sealing away Naruto and Hinata, giving the two of them that couple's vacation that they haven't been able to go on for a very long time, but not in the way they actually wanted. Given this domino has finally fallen, I think it's time for us to take a look at what it means for Kawaki right now and how this is leading to another layer of conflict that's going to drive an even deeper wedge between Konoha and Kawaki, because Kawaki will not be acting alone. Right now, Kawaki is someone who just went from being underwatched by Konoha to being someone who is now public enemy number one. To say that there's going to be a manhunt for Kawaki is an absolutely understatement. There are going to be a lot of tempers flaring when this occurs, and it's going to lead to Kawaki being the one who shoulders that burden of hate that is directed towards him, because in his mind, he's making the right decisions for everyone, regardless as to their feelings on the decisions, or if he's taking away their right to choose in this scenario. Because in his mind, Boruto's got to die because Boruto is a security risk. However, that brings up the even bigger question that's going on here, which is, now that Kawaki is a marked man, why is Konoha having such a hard time finding him? It could just be that he shrank himself down using the Sukuna Hikona, which is why you got Chunin and Jonin saying, where is he? And he couldn't have gotten this far away. It would also explain why Sarda was the only one who could spot where he was, because while we can't tell due to the size of the manga panel, there's a very good chance Sarda has her Sharingan cut on, which means she would be able to see Kawaki even after he shrank himself down to 1 inch in size and suppress his chakra. While it makes it hard for someone with sensory abilities to sense him because the chakra has been erased, his chakra is still physically inside his body, which means a dojutsu like a Byakugan can see the chakra network, or a dojutsu like the Sharingan can see chakra as a color, which means that it can spot him the same way that Sasuke was able to spot Jigen when Naruto couldn't sense him. However, that brings up the other question of why is it that they even had this much trouble and having such a large search party that's filled with losers who are going to be bodied by Kawaki if they're searching for Kawaki when they have someone like Ada inside of Konoha. Isn't that counterproductive? She could just cut on her Semigon and tell Konoha exactly where Kawaki is and what it is that he's doing. However, that's only if she's agreeing to work with them, which I don't think will be the case. And I think it's more likely that Ada just switches sides, because we've seen this before. She's a very fickle character who turns sides on the drop of a hat if it means it will benefit her more. We've seen her switch sides on Code, and she's threatened to switch sides on Amado if things don't go away with Kawaki. And even Shikamaru's made the assessment that Ada is someone whose loyalty shift to whatever play is the best for her in that moment. After all, she was Code's ally, but all of a sudden she is. That brings up another couple of possibilities that we cannot rule out besides Ada willingly joining Kawaki, and these are very important. We also have the possibility that Kawaki might be the one that reaches out to her. I think this is likely. I think this is really likely. We've seen in the recent chapters that Kawaki does have some of those traits that made Sasuke so dangerous, especially when Sasuke was younger, which is that Sasuke doesn't just blindly take what you tell him. He constantly updates his position based on the new information given to him, and most importantly, he's patient. Kawaki has had something shift inside of him. He's gone from being pissed off that Ada was working with Code to try and find Boruto and feed him to the Ten Tails, to now he's aimed his claws at Boruto himself. Upon discovering that Boruto and Momoshiki been able to communicate with one another, he could very well have just been mad at her because she was literally helping Code, a man who wants to feed Boruto to the Ten Tails and harvest a chakra fruit. Basically, an Otsutsuki worshiper wants to turn himself into a bootleg Otsutsuki. But Kawaki is also smart enough to know that Ada possesses a power that he cannot ignore. It serves as a great use to him to have someone like Ada who can see everything, and he happens to know that she's madly in love with him. And Kawaki's smart enough to know he can use that against her. It wasn't by mistake that Ada wasn't shown helping Konoha hunt down Kawaki. It also wasn't by mistake that Ada has been shown being able to see things that not just happen on Earth, but also see stuff in other dimensions. People, in my experience, based off what I've seen in the comment section, people tend to forget Ada can also see what happens in other dimensions, not just what you actually see on Earth. We literally saw her see Kawaki kill Ishiki in another dimension. We saw her see Ishiki's soul appear in front of Code to give him the burden of carrying on his will, and we saw her see Code make his Ten Tails army. Kawaki has a goal to hunt down all Otsutsuki wherever they are, and Kawaki wants to kill them. He just happens to be aware that that there's a girl who we were told was the one that knows everything in the world, Ada. Kawaki's smart enough to make the connection. Hey, she can see into other dimensions, which means she should be able to see where the other Otsutsuki are. And Kawaki, we could see him exploit her love for him simply for that reason. She's a means that justifies the end. She gives him the best chance to find the other Otsutsuki. Think about it. Kawaki wouldn't have just said, I'm gonna kill every single Otsutsuki out there if he didn't have a plan. What was he going to do? Just go from planet to planet and stumble across them? And if he didn't find them, he would just move on to another planet. That's gonna take way too much time. However, if he has someone like Ada who is helping him locate them, we have our answer now as to how Kawaki planned to do this, because he clearly thought he could do it in enough time that Naruto would be able to kill him if he wanted to once Kawaki was able to unseal Naruto, meaning it would be something done in Naruto's natural lifespan. Now that brings up the other elephant in the room. If Kawaki does have Ada join him, she's going to tell him about Amado's shutdown code, and Kawaki is either going to want it removed or he's going to want Amado killed, which means either immobilizing Amado, recruiting Amado to his side with the offer to revive his daughter by giving Delta that karma seal, but warning him that if she turns into an Otsutsuki, he will kill her like all the other Otsutsuki, or he just outright kills Amado when Amado least expects it. It makes sense when you consider there's a clear inspiration from Dr. Gero from Dragon Ball, which is a reminder the name is said correctly. It's Gero, not Jiro. Mad scientist who takes normal humans and turns them into cyborgs 17 and 18, which is a side note at this point. Boruto's manga is going to have a Goku and Krillin moment where Krillin has to explain the difference between a android and cyborg because he's still got fans confusing them. But back to the cyborgs themselves from Dragon Ball, who then go on to kill them once they're free, and both cyborgs resented Dr. Gero for messing with their human bodies by using all those mechanical upgrades to make them stronger than Super Saiyans. Amado has done a similar thing with Kawaki, Ada, and Daemon. None of them asked to have their bodies modified by Amado's ninja tech. It was forced upon them. Kawaki killing Amado, similar to how 17 killed Dr. Gero, isn't crazy. Gero had a shutdown device, but 17 and 18 got that device away from him, and then they promptly killed him. If Kawaki does this, on top of sealing away Naruto and Hinata, then recruiting Ada and Daemon, killing Amado is going to confirm from Shikamaru something that he always had said, which is that he was right about Kawaki. Naruto was projecting his upbringing as a Jinchuriki onto Kawaki, and that big heart of Naruto's has put the entire village in a worse situation than it was before. It's going to make Shikamaru the acting Hokage until someone like Kakashi steps back into the role. Shikamaru's going to have a bone to pick with Kawaki because he's never fully trusted him. There's enough here to get Kawaki some major heat from a few different angles and make him into a flawed antagonist who has a moral gray zone. His actions aren't wrong in the sense that he wants to destroy the Otsutsuki, but he's going about everything in the wrong way. You can't even call him a villain so much as a vigilante who is taking justice into his own hands and outside the accepted norms. However, he's taking it a step further by making the choice of a tyrant, by basically removing the choice of others because he deems his desires to be more important. A good antagonist isn't someone who is just represented as evil for the sake of evil. That's been the problem Boruto's mangas had up until this point in time. There's been no real depth to the villains, and we've only really had one really good villain. Two, if you count the extended development that Momoshiki's gotten. Momoshiki and Kenshiki, when they were introduced, they were just these boogeymen who Kaguya wrote down by name that she was afraid of the duo coming to take her back and to punish her for eating the chakra fruit, and they were just trying to harvest a chakra fruit. Ooh, so scary, so much depth to it, gotta love it. Though, again, to be fair, Momoshiki's character has actually gotten better as the story itself has gone on because he's had time to flourish. Shojoji was just some random thug in the manga who really and truly he's forgettable in manga format. Ao, there was no explanation on how a man who the entire fandom thought was blown to bits was somehow still alive and working for this group called KAR, or why he was even working for them. We had no answers in manga format. Delta was just a raging B word, since I can't say the real word because YouTube will age restrict the video to anyone who isn't 18 years old now, now if I say that word. So congratulations to YouTube there. They've had the same character development that some of the Boruto villains have had. Jigen was just some strong guy who bodied Naruto and Sasuke. Boro was just boring in the manga. Ishiki wasn't a waste because he had that vibe to him, and there was a sense of terror in the fandom at that point in time because nobody knew how he was going to be defeated. There are people legit panicking that, oh my god, Naruto and Sasuke can't make it out of this. I hope that they don't die. I hope Sasuke uses Reaper Death Seal, which I had to do a whole video on Sasuke using a Reaper Death Seal because I had people send me the request for it. However, that lets you know that Ishiki was a good villain because people were legitimately afraid that one of their favorite characters was going to die. Right now, we have an antagonist who we've seen get developed. We know the reason behind the reason for all of Kawaki's actions, and most importantly, he split the fandom to where there are people who will say, well, you know, he's not actually wrong, but then there's the other side of the fandom who Kawaki's gotten so much heat from that you think they made the hot take that Dak Prescott is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Kawaki has accomplished a really big deal, which is that either people love you or people hate you. They feel a strong enough emotion about you that you take up some corner in their mind and you're not going away for the foreseeable point in time. Kawaki, and this short period through these actions, has managed to do something that Code is not able to do. Depending on what Kawaki does next, he can further establish himself as a good antagonist by continuing to flip the world as we know it on its head and continue to further split the fandom by having those who think he's right and those who think that he's going about things in the wrong way. Kawaki is now positioning himself as a needle mover, where when Kawaki acts, the story itself moves, very similar to how when Sasuke acted in the Naruto manga, the story moved forward. So my question to you guys is, will Kawaki request Ada join him, or will she go willingly? And if Kawaki does kill Amado, does this prove Shikamaru is right all along? While you think that over, click here to watch my Black Clover chapter 349 review, or click here to watch this Naruto Explain video.